News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Karen Moscow.
And I'm Alexis Christoforous. Here are the stories we're following today.
Alexis, we begin with the latest developments in the Middle East. Despite 2 days of clashes, an American official says talks between the U.S. and Iran over a permanent peace deal continue. We get the latest with Bloomberg European News Director Will Kennedy.
Neither side has the appetite to return to full-blown conflict. Clearly, the last few days have been the worst since that original truce deal was signed. But there is, it seems, a willingness to keep things on track. Those technical talks are at level of officials, not politicians as such. They will continue with some of the sticking points that we've discussed before, like the future of the Strait of Hormuz, the nuclear program, the release of Iranian funds. We'll have to see whether they yield much progress.
And Bloomberg's Will Kennedy says talks slowed this week as Iran held days of funeral rites for former Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei.
And Karen, back here in the U.S., a White House official says President Trump has fired 2 Democratic members of the Election Assistance Commission. That's the agency charged with helping states facilitate accurate elections. A Republican member has also resigned. The departures mark the latest move by the president to put his stamp on how elections are run months before voters head to the polls in November. Last month, the Supreme Court expanded a president's right to dismiss government officials, including at independent agencies.
Alexis, we now turn to politics overseas, where Andy Burnham is one step closer to becoming the next Prime Minister of the UK. We go live to London and get the latest with Bloomberg's James Wilcock. James, good morning.
Good morning. Karen, Alexis, barring an act of God, Andy Burnham is Britain's next Prime Minister. You need 20% of Labour MP support to stand to replace Keir Starmer. Yesterday, on the first day, nominations were open. Andy Burnham got 79.9%. With that overwhelming endorsement, attention now turns to who the Labour frontrunner would pick to run his government and what he would do. In London, James Wilcock, Bloomberg Radio.
Thanks, James. Let's turn to the markets now, where futures are mostly lower as we close out the trading week. NASDAQ futures down by about 0.6%. Yesterday, tech stocks led the way higher when the NASDAQ gained 1.3%.
And Alexis, tech will once again be in focus with the U.S. trading debut of SK Hynix. The South Korean memory chip maker raised more than $26 billion in its American depository receipt offering. That's the largest ever U.S. first-time share sale by a foreign company. Brendan Burke is research director at Futurum.
Right now is an ideal time to capitalize on the strategic role of memory in the AI build-out. SK Hynix has shown that it's a critical thought partner in development of novel AI systems, along with innovators like NVIDIA. And it's developing the next-gen systems that can continue high growth for the memory trade as we head into the next wave of agentic systems.
And Brendan Burke with Futurum. SK Hynix will make its debut on the NASDAQ today under the symbol SKHY.
And this morning in Europe, Karen, shares of EasyJet rallying more than 14%. The budget carrier has received a fresh takeover offer of $7.7 billion from private equity firm Apollo Global Management. Now, that beats a rival proposal from Castlelake. And it's a surprise twist in the takeover saga that sets up a possible bidding war now between these two U.S. investment funds.
And Europe's biggest car maker is planning major changes, Alexis. Volkswagen intends to cut its model lineup by as much as 50% in an effort to save money. Stefan Nicola covers autos for Bloomberg in Europe.
Volkswagen CEO Oliver Blume is attempting the biggest restructuring in many, many years at Europe's biggest car maker. He wants to make Volkswagen smaller, faster, and more profitable. That's because competition is intensifying in China, which is a big market for Volkswagen, but also in Europe, where a lot of the Chinese car makers are now pushing into that region because of a tough pricing competition in their whole market.
And Bloomberg's Stefan Nicola there. Volkswagen's decision follows weeks of tension with labor leaders and politicians over proposals to eliminate thousands of jobs.
And Karen, on Wall Street, Goldman Sachs is banning employees from trading on most prediction markets. Bloomberg's John Tucker in New York now with the very latest. And John, I have a feeling other firms may soon be doing the same.
Yeah, so the bank, Alexis, updated its policy to prohibit trading on event contracts. This is related to specific companies as well as election outcomes outcomes or the performance of any financial market. Repeated violations of the policy may lead to firing. The new policy does exclude sports and entertainment bets. The prediction markets like Kalshi and Polymarket, they've created new risks around insider trading, in particular for financial industry employees who are often aware of non-public information. Now, Goldman's move, one of the most pointed efforts by a Wall Street firm grappling with these new regulatory issues raised by the boom in betting on events. In New York, I'm John Tucker, Bloomberg Radio.
And that's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Alexis Christoforous.
I'm Karen Moscow, and this is Bloomberg.